It was a crisp October evening when Emma, a 27-year-old woman with a fondness for all things spooky, received an unexpected invitation to Universal Studios' Halloween Horror Nights. The invitation came from an anonymous sender, adorned with intricate Gothic designs and a sinister black wax seal. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, Emma decided to embrace the mysterious allure and bring along her 11-year-old brother, Jake. Part 2: The Arrival. As they entered the park, the night air buzzed with excitement. Decorations adorned every corner, casting eerie shadows under the dimly lit street lamps. Emma and Jake marveled at the haunted houses, fog-filled streets, and the palpable tension in the air. The thrill of the spooky atmosphere overwhelmed any reservations they might have had about the anonymous invitation. Part 3: The Stalkers Emerge. Amid the chaos and excitement, Emma and Jake encountered two particularly convincing scare actors, one dressed as a ghastly clown and the other as a silent, faceless figure in a hooded cloak. The performers seemed to have an uncanny ability to appear just out of sight, disappearing into the shadows whenever Emma or Jake turned to look at them. Initially dismissed as part of the Halloween fun, the siblings soon began to feel an unsettling sense of being watched. Part 4: The Whispers. As the night wore on, the scare actors continued to follow Emma and Jake through the park. The clown's painted grin seemed to widen each time they turned to confront him, while the hooded figure remained an enigma, always lurking at the edge of their vision. Unnerved, Emma began to hear whispers in the wind, inaudible to others, whispers that seemed to carry sinister secrets and cryptic messages. Part 5: A Familiar Face. In the midst of the chaos, Emma caught a glimpse of a familiar face among the crowd, their estranged father, who had disappeared years ago. His eyes met hers for a fleeting moment before he vanished into the sea of Halloween revelers. Emma, torn between fear and a desire for answers, decided to unravel the mysteries of the night. Part 6: The Haunting House. Guided by the whispers and their father's ghostly presence, Emma and Jake found themselves drawn to a dilapidated haunted house tucked away in a forgotten corner of the park. As they cautiously entered, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, and the air seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Part 7: Confrontation in the Shadows. Inside the haunted house, Emma and Jake faced a nightmarish ordeal as the scare actors transformed from playful performers to malevolent entities. The clown's painted grin contorted into a grotesque snarl, and the hooded figure's unseen eyes glowed with an unholy light. In the dimly lit corridors, the siblings fought to escape the clutches of their relentless pursuers. Part 8: The Truth Unveiled. As they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, Emma and Jake discovered the dark secret behind the Halloween Horror Night. The park was built on the grounds of an old asylum, and the spirits of the tormented patients still roamed the shadows, seeking revenge on the living. The scare actors were unwittingly vessels for these vengeful spirits, cursed to haunt the park until their grievances were appeased. Part 9: The Sacrifice. In a heart-wrenching twist, Emma realized that her father, a former staff member at the asylum, had become entangled with the spirits, trying to protect his children from the malevolent forces. In a desperate bid to save her little brother, Emma decided to confront the spirits head-on, offering herself as a sacrifice to appease the restless souls and end the curse. Part 10: Redemption. As Emma faced the spectral entities, a powerful surge of energy coursed through the haunted house. Shadows dissipated, and the air became still. The spirits, now at peace, released their hold on the scare actors. Emma's sacrifice had broken the curse, allowing her father's ghost to find peace and move on, leaving Universal Studios free from the haunting forces. Epilogue: The Lingering Echoes. As dawn broke, the park returned to normalcy, the Halloween decorations fading into the background. Emma and Jake, forever changed by the night's events, left Universal Studios with a mix of relief and sorrow. The shadows of the studio may have lifted, but the echoes of that haunted night lingered in their memories, a chilling reminder of the thin veil between the living and the dead.
Title: Echoes of the Shadows. I never thought a night of thrills and chills at Halloween Horror Nights would turn into a nightmare that would haunt my every waking moment. It all started innocently enough. My younger sister, Lily, begged me to take her to the infamous horror event at the theme park. Against my better judgment, I agreed, thinking it would be a night of harmless scares and sibling bonding. As we entered the park, the ominous atmosphere surrounded us. Fog crept along the ground, and eerie music echoed through the air. The haunted houses loomed ahead like monstrous creatures waiting to swallow us whole. Lily, bubbling with excitement, tugged at my arm. "Come on, Jake. Let's start with the haunted manor," she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. Reluctantly, I followed her into the dimly lit mansion. The air inside was thick with tension, and the unsettling sounds of creaking floors and distant whispers played tricks on our senses. The thrill of being scared soon turned into a genuine feeling of unease. As we navigated the winding corridors, a sudden surge of panic washed over me. I turned to Lily, but she was gone. My heart pounded in my chest as I called out her name in the eerie silence, my voice swallowed by the haunting atmosphere. Frantically, I searched through the rooms and corridors of the haunted house, the darkness playing tricks on my mind. But Lily was nowhere to be found. As the minutes ticked by, my worry transformed into a gnawing fear. Leaving the haunted mansion, I scanned the crowds outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of Lily's familiar face. The park, bathed in the glow of eerie moonlight, seemed to morph into a labyrinth of uncertainty. My phone buzzed, and I eagerly checked it, hoping for a message from Lily. Nothing. Dread settled in the pit of my stomach as I sprinted from one attraction to another, desperately searching for any sign of my sister. The night took on a surreal quality, the lines between the haunted and the real blurring into a nightmarish tapestry. In the twisted corridors of the abandoned asylum, I thought I caught a fleeting glimpse of Lily's silhouette. My heart raced as I followed, only to find an empty room filled with the distant echoes of laughter and screams. The shadows seemed to mock my every step, closing in around me like a suffocating shroud. Time lost all meaning as I stumbled through the night, the haunted houses becoming a maze of uncertainty. My calls for Lily grew hoarse, the desperation in my voice echoing through the empty halls. Finally, in the depths of the graveyard of souls, I found her, or so I thought. Lily stood in the flickering candlelight, her back turned to me. Relief flooded through me as I rushed towards her. "Lily, thank God, I've been looking everywhere for you," I gasped. She turned slowly, her face obscured by shadows. A chill ran down my spine as I realized something was off. Her eyes gleamed with an unnatural light, and a sinister smile played on her lips. "Jake," she whispered, her voice a haunting echo. "You shouldn't have come looking for me." Before I could react, she lunged at me with an otherworldly speed, and a cold, unrelenting grip closed around my wrist. Panic set in as I struggled against her, the realization sinking in that this was not my sister. With a surge of strength, I broke free and stumbled backward, my mind racing to comprehend the impossible. The doppelganger wore Lily's face, but its eyes held a malevolent intelligence that sent shivers down my spine. As I fled through the haunted park, the doppelganger pursued relentlessly, its footsteps echoing in the hollow silence. The thrill of Halloween Horror Nights had twisted into a nightmarish race against time. I had to find the real Lily before whatever had taken her form consumed her entirely. The park became a surreal battleground, each attraction a potential hiding place for the doppelganger. The lines between reality and illusion blurred, and the once exhilarating atmosphere now felt like a suffocating nightmare. In the Hall of Mirrors, I caught a glimpse of Lily's reflection, but the doppelganger's eyes stared back at me. My pulse quickened as I darted between the mirrors, the distorted reflections mocking my frantic search. In the witch's woods, the tangled branches seemed to reach out, whispering sinister secrets. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow, became a potential threat. The park had transformed into a malevolent entity, orchestrating a sinister game with me as its unwitting pawn. As the night wore on, fatigue and fear gnawed at my resolve. Doubt crept in, whispering that maybe the real Lily was lost forever, swallowed by the darkness of Halloween Horror Nights. But a stubborn determination fueled my search, refusing to accept the nightmare as my sister's fate. Finally, in the forsaken depths of the Crypt of Despair, I stumbled upon a scene that froze my blood. Two Lilies stood before me, one, the doppelganger, cold and calculating, the other, my real sister, trapped in a spectral cage. "Jake," the real Lily pleaded, her voice barely audible over the doppelganger's sinister laughter. "Help me." A surge of adrenaline propelled me forward as I faced the doppelganger, a mixture of anger and terror boiling within me. "Let her go." The doppelganger's eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, a strange connection formed. Images flashed before my eyes, memories, emotions, the essence of my sister. The doppelganger, a creature born from the shadows, reveled in the chaos it had sown. With a burst of courage, I confronted the doppelganger, challenging its existence. The Crypt of Despair trembled as an otherworldly force unfolded, the battle between light and darkness reaching its climax. In a blinding flash, the doppelganger recoiled, its form contorting and dissipating into the shadows. The spectral cage that held my sister shattered, and she stumbled forward, disoriented but alive. As we embraced in the cold, dimly lit crypt, a sense of triumph mixed with lingering unease. The park around us seemed to exhale, the malevolence dissipating like morning mist. Halloween Horror Nights had become a twisted journey through the shadows, a test of courage and resilience. Yet, the echoes of that night lingered, a reminder that even in the midst of playful scares, the line between reality and the supernatural could blur, revealing the darker corners of the human psyche. The Crypt of Despair stood as a testament to the night I fought against the shadows, hoping to save my sister from the clutches of a malevolent doppelganger. As we left the haunted park, the first light of dawn painted the horizon. The fog lifted, revealing a world that had survived a night of horror. Lily and I walked away, forever changed by the harrowing experience, the echoes of the shadows etched into our memories.
Title: The Fifth Wheel's Nightmare. Part 1: Unwanted Spectator. It was supposed to be a night of thrills and chills, surrounded by the eerie atmosphere of Universal Studios' Halloween Horror Nights. Yet, for Alex, the ominous feeling that had been gnawing at him all evening grew stronger as they approached the park's entrance. He was the fifth wheel in a group of two couples, Jake and Lisa, and Mark and Emily. The camaraderie of friendship was overshadowed by the palpable tension between Jake and Lisa, a storm waiting to break loose. Part 2: The Dark Cloud. The atmosphere inside the park mirrored the tension in the group. As they navigated the haunted houses and fog-filled streets, the unspoken animosity between Jake and Lisa cast a dark cloud over the night. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was looming on the horizon, like a shadow waiting to consume them all. Part 3: The Breaking Point. As the group approached a particularly sinister maze, the tension reached its breaking point. Jake and Lisa's argument escalated into a full-blown fight, their voices carrying over the ominous soundtrack of the Halloween festivities. Mark and Emily attempted to mediate, but the rift between the couples was undeniable. Part 4: The Split. Unable to resolve the conflict, the group made the uneasy decision to split up temporarily. Jake and Mark, sharing an awkward silence, agreed to venture through the haunted maze together, while Lisa and Emily decided to explore other parts of the park to cool off. Alex, now truly the fifth wheel, hesitated but reluctantly joined Jake and Mark. Part 5: The Maze. The haunted maze seemed to amplify the tension between the two friends. The unsettling atmosphere of the maze blended with the unresolved issues between Jake and Mark, creating an environment ripe for disaster. The air was thick with anticipation as they navigated the dark corridors filled with scares and surprises. Part 6, An Unexpected Horror. In the depths of the maze, as the tension reached its peak, an unexpected horror awaited them. A figure, clad in a haunting costume, emerged from the shadows. The scare actor seemed unusually committed to the role, and the terror in their eyes hinted at something beyond mere performance. Before anyone could react, the figure unleashed a chilling scream, sending a shockwave through the group. Part 7, The Disappearance. As the scream echoed through the maze, the lights flickered, plunging them into darkness. Panic set in as Jake, Mark, and Alex fumbled in the blackness, desperately trying to find their way out. When the lights returned, they discovered that Emily was missing. The scare actor, now absent, left behind an unsettling silence. Part 8, The Search. Frantic and terrified, the trio retraced their steps, calling out Emily's name in the maze's twisted corridors. The chilling realization that something had gone horribly wrong gripped them. The playful scares and stage horrors were replaced by the stark reality of their friend's disappearance. The maze transformed from a Halloween attraction into a nightmarish labyrinth. Part 9, The Revelation. As they stumbled through the maze, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber, a place not meant for park visitors. There, they found Emily, lifeless and surrounded by eerie symbols drawn on the walls. The scare actor's haunting scream had been a precursor to a real horror that had unfolded in the darkness. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, and the weight of their collective guilt and terror pressed down on them. Part 10, The Aftermath. In the aftermath of Emily's death, the park was shrouded in chaos. The authorities were called, and Universal Studios' Halloween Horror Nights transformed from a night of entertainment into a crime scene. The friendships within the group shattered, haunted by the events that unfolded in the maze. Epilogue, The Lingering Horror. For Alex, the nightmares extended beyond that fateful night. The echoes of Emily's screams and the unsettling symbols lingered in his dreams. The once thrilling Halloween celebration became a haunting memory, a reminder that the line between stage horror and real-life terror is thin, and the shadows cast by unresolved conflicts can lead to unimaginable darkness. The Fifth Wheel, forever changed, carried the weight of that harrowing night, haunted by the specter of Halloween Horror Nights.
Title: The Closing Act. My name is Roger. It was the final night of Halloween Horror Nights, and the air was charged with an electrifying energy as I donned my scare actor costume, tattered clothes, pale makeup, and a sinister grin. Working in the dimly lit corridors of Universal Studios had become a second nature, but this night felt different, as if the very shadows held secrets waiting to unfold. Part 2, The Routine. The routine began as usual, immersing myself in the eerie atmosphere of the park, ready to terrify unsuspecting visitors. The makeup artists worked their magic, transforming us into creatures of the night, and the haunted houses buzzed with excitement as we prepared for the grand finale. However, a subtle undercurrent of unease lingered, hidden beneath the adrenaline-fueled excitement. Part 3, The Shadows Whispers. As the night progressed, the shadows seemed to whisper secrets only I could hear. In the midst of the orchestrated scares and the laughter of thrill-seekers, the whispers became more distinct. I dismissed them as the product of an overactive imagination, a side effect of working in the macabre world of Halloween Horror Nights. Little did I know that the shadows were harboring more than just imaginary fears. Part 4, The Maze of Shadows. Assigned to a haunted maze, I navigated through dimly lit corridors, reveling in the thrill of scaring unsuspecting visitors. Yet, as I delved deeper into the shadows, an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. The atmosphere grew oppressive, and I caught glimpses of a fleeting shadow, a figure that seemed to move independently of the park's scripted horrors. Part 5, The Encounter with the Unseen. In the heart of the maze, I encountered a fellow scare actor, Sarah, whose makeup depicted her as a ghostly apparition. We exchanged uneasy glances, both sensing that something was amiss. As we continued our scare routine, a sudden chill swept through the corridor. The whispers grew louder, and the shadows seemed to coalesce into a tangible presence. Part 6. The Drive Home. As the night drew to a close, I offered to drive Sarah home. The atmosphere outside the park was vastly different. Deserted streets, and the occasional flicker of streetlights cast long shadows. Unease settled in, and the feeling that something had followed us from the park lingered in the air. The drive was silent, and the only sound that permeated the car was the soft hum of the engine. The occasional glance in the rearview mirror revealed nothing but empty roads, yet a subtle feeling of being watched persisted. The shadows clung to the edges of the streetlights, dancing in a macabre ballet that mirrored the night's events. Part 7. The Unseen Passenger. Upon dropping Sarah off, the unease escalated. As she stepped out of the car, a shadow detached itself from the darkness, a fleeting silhouette that vanished before I could comprehend its form. Sarah's gaze lingered on the shadows for a moment, a shared acknowledgement that we were not alone. The drive continued, and the feeling of being watched intensified. Whispers echoed in the recesses of my mind, indistinct yet laden with a haunting urgency. I dismissed them as remnants of the night's scares, but a deeper intuition told me that something had crossed the boundary between the park and the real world. Part 8. The Desolate Roads. The roads grew more desolate as I approached my own home. The houses were silhouetted against the night sky, and the shadows seemed to stretch and contort, taking on shapes that defied explanation. An overwhelming sense of isolation settled in as the whispers in my mind became more coherent, urging me to confront the unseen force that had latched onto the night. Part 9. The Confrontation. As I entered my home, the whispers reached a crescendo. Shadows clung to the corners of the rooms, and the air felt charged with an indescribable energy. In the flickering light of a lone lamp, the silhouette of the figure I had encountered in the maze manifested, a formless entity that seemed to transcend the boundaries of the physical world. Driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, I confronted the entity. The whispers coalesced into words, a tale of a forgotten tragedy, an unsatisfied spirit bound to the park, seeking release. It claimed to be a manifestation of the darkness that lingered in the shadows, tethered to the night of Halloween Horror Nights. Part 10. The Ritual of Release. In the eerie stillness of my home, I learned of the spirit's pain and the ritual required to grant it release. The shadows danced as I followed the instructions, burning sage, reciting incantations, and invoking a semblance of closure for the tormented soul. The air crackled with energy as the ritual unfolded, and the figure in the shadows gradually dissipated. Epilogue. Lingering echoes. With the departure of the entity, a profound silence settled over my home. The whispers ceased, and the shadows returned to their natural state. The night of Halloween Horror Nights had left an indelible mark, blurring the boundaries between reality and the supernatural. Sarah and I, forever changed by that night, shared a silent understanding of the unseen forces that lurked in the shadows. The echoes of the night lingered in the recesses of our minds, a chilling reminder that the line between scripted scares and genuine terror was thinner than we could have ever imagined.
Sir? Okay. Thank you. Paul.
just an any time or place. We will slap right across your face.